who lives every single day having to work the field, work the ground so they can eat. I know so many of our young people today, we just got to get back to self-sustaining, economies. And I was watching this interview on YouTube of this young couple that they bought an island off the coast of Canada, and they're going to make their own food and sew their own clothes. And a year into it, they're starving. They're starving. Turns out, it's better when someone else who knows how to make your food makes your food, and someone who knows how to raise animals raises your animals, and someone who knows how to make your clothes and distribute them, turns out they're better. But in the ancient world, man, every single day, you worked to eat. To eat. Amen. Our parents, parents today, your kids are like, oh, I don't like French fries. You don't like French fries? When my son was young, I tried to convince him to eat a potato. He's like, nope, I only eat French fries. I'm like, what do you think a French fry is? And with all the wisdom a 4-year-old has, he says, not the same thing, Dad. And in anger, I smashed the French fries. And I went, potato. So the sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, so he's throwing seed, right? He's throwing seed. He said some seed fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured them. Other seeds fell on rocky ground where they did not have much soil. And immediately they sprang up. Since they had no depth of the soil, but when the sun rose, they were scorched. And since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. This is Jesus preaching. Other seeds fell on the good soil and produced grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Listen to Jesus. He who has ears, let him hear. You see, just because I'm preaching doesn't mean you're listening. Some of you are just listening for where I'm wrong, and you are failing to hear where Jesus is saying, this is right. You see, here's the problem today. The church is not growing. We're not changing the world. We're losing. And we're losing because we think all we have to do is preach the gospel. The problem is never the gospel. Never. Jesus is preaching. This is his sermon, and he's throwing seed. He's throwing it out there. The gospel is never the problem. Man, some of you, you're like, well, I'm not sure, Pastor, if I trust the Bible. The problem is never the Bible. It always cracks me up, man. You go to school and all these professors are telling you, where the Bible's wrong, and then they go digging and they find out they're wrong, the Bible's right. It happens over and over and over again. We just need to have a moment in our culture where all the smarty pants people go, we're sorry, we're so wrong. And then some of you say, oh, I've been hurt by the church. The church is the problem. Man, it's not the church. The church is the bride of Christ. The church is the hope of the world. The church is the family you've always wanted and God knows you need. And some of you are like, well, I have a problem with God. The problem's not God. The problem is the soil. It's the soil. And so what do? We just kind of self-assess. I'm just going to guess what kind of soil we have. In my family, my mother's last name is Estes. I was told my whole life we're Italian. We're Italian. I told people that. I shared that. I wasn't lying. It's what I believed. We just kind of guessed it. Okay? Because 100 years ago, white people just kind of scattered all over the West and nobody knew what they were. And I told people we're Italian. And I took a test. 0 Italian. 0. Turns out I'm 67% Irish. I'm more Irish than my Irish friend from Ireland. Some of us, we just assume what kind of soil it is, like me. Oh, I'm just Italian, that's who I am. And so you just guess or you just assume. And some of us who are super spiritual, we say, well, I don't know what kind of soil I am, but I'm just going to pray. I'm going to ask God changes the soil. I'm going to ask God to make it better. I want you to try that at home. I just want you to walk out and pray over the weeds and say, be gone. And seriously, direct message me if it works. You see, when the problem's the soil, What we need is some tools. And let me tell you what the Enneagram is. The Enneagram is a tool that can help